Hey guys, welcome back to Heaven's Secret 2. And before we get into the episode, I know right here it says 6, but I've just actually finished playing episode 5. Before we get into episode 5, I'm going to go through and show you some little tidbits of clips and things changes that I've made to my current save file after I went through and replayed all of Heaven's Secret 1 to get the Harmony Bearer achievement and I'll get all that unlocked and switch things up. So you'll see how that unfolds, and I think I chose to romance this for the time. I'll explain all of that later in the video, but anyway, go ahead and enjoy. I saw how pain devoured him from the inside, and I felt that anger was growing in me too. I closed my eyes and focused on my memories. All those losses, all those regrets, and all that despair. I remembered everything. Melba and I looked at each other, exposing the dark sides of our souls. And Melba's tattoo suddenly shone brighter than ever before, fueled by his personal darkness. And the darkness, spreading its long tentacles, began to grow. I won't let you poison my world. Shefa stretched out his arms to the sides, and a blinding light wave illuminated everything around. I fell to my knees, covering my eyes with my hand. Melba. But an impenetrable dome of darkness coved him in on all sides. There's no place for darkness here. Shefa raised his palms to absorb the power of sunlight. Melba and I locked eyes again. Sweat trickled down his face from overexertion. He was trembling, clinging to life with all his might. So be it. Shefa extended one hand above his head and pointed the other at me. I saw the light burst out of his palm directly towards me. A powerful blast of darkness escaped from Melba. The tree created by the hand of the Creator turned to ashes. The green grass flared up and disappeared. The sunlight faded and the sky darkened. Shefa rushed to me, but I also screamed, releasing all the suffering I had experienced. Our collective darkness merged into one and destroyed Shefa's light. Everything around started to tremble. The air became viscous, barely breathable. Shefa stretched his huge, powerful hands towards me. He could almost touch me, and his light would have destroyed me just like our darkness did to his world. I'm not curious. Why did you choose to try to destroy her instead of Melba, who's already really hot? I don't know. Only a few inches separated me from Shefa, but his hand suddenly stopped. Did he think he could just get in Melba's head like he has been all this time? That's curious. I didn't move either, staring at them, and for a while, I tried to understand what was happening. Then I slowly looked up. Shefa froze. His whole body was glazed in transparent black glass. It looked like a statue immortalized by a sculptor. Oh. I don't think that happened on the angel route. We unlocked Godslayer, imprisoned Shefa in a statue. I got an achievement. Okay. Melba tried to get up, but groaned and fell to the ground. I ran up to him. Your legs are broken. We need to get out of here. I followed Melba's gaze. The earth trembled and became covered in cracks. The sky flared and then it began to change its color chaotically like a broken kaleidoscope. Shefa's body, locked in the thick glass, was the epicenter of the destruction of his world. Shefa's heavenly garden disappeared with him. Did we kill him? Shefa cannot be killed. He is entrapped by darkness. You defeated Shefa. Melba remained calm, and his face, serious as always, didn't betray joy nor triumph. Help me get up. I grabbed him around the waist and lifted him. He was heavy, but I stubbornly pulled him along. I forgot what I did last time. The gates opened before us. A little more. Melba jerked, forcing me to stop and turn to the statue of Shefa. We've got to go. His eyes lingered for a few more moments, then he calmly said, Yes. Let's go. A few more steps and we were out of the gate. I gently sat Melbon down and, exhausted, fell next to him. The gates were almost closed, but I managed to see the anarchy of destruction left behind them. It was like an implosion of the universe. Everything returned to its origins, and during the primordial chaos, its drive towards calm nothingness. And then the gate closed and disappeared. The Citadel was still fighting Malbon's minions, but less fiercely. Both sides didn't know whether it was worth fighting further, nor what to expect in our absence. The immortals stopped when they spotted us amid the commotion and carnage. No more blood was spilled, and the faces, though weary and tortured, lit up with genuine interest. Help me. I raised him. Malbon looked around us and shouted, "The war is over. Chef is defeated. We won." Everyone stared dumbfounded at something behind Malbon and me. We turned around. Chef's world collapsed without his light, and his caged body got transported with us. Everyone rushed to examine it to make sure there was no treachery afoot. Chef is imprisoned. We won. A painful relief arose in my soul. The war is over. Okay, so I assume this part is going to be more or less the same, so let me see if there's any differences, okay? Okay, I think this is where it changes if you got the Harmony Bear thing, which I didn't get last time. I think last time I got the angel thing, so let's see. An angel approached me with a glowing scepter. Everyone be silent. His voice was barely audible against the hum of the immortals cheering me on. I laughed with delight. For the first time I felt so significant, so big and powerful. I suppose. I was loved and respected. I was an example for them. Are you? My mistakes and my stubbornness to reveal the truth were now appreciated with endless applause. When the angel finally managed to calm them down, he said, "Kneel," and claimed. I obeyed him. Remember this moment? He had a deep, velvety voice. When you get to your feet, you will no longer be an unclaimed. Are you ready to join a side, former human, now immortal? Without raising my head, I replied, yes. He brought the scepter up to my head. Its power pierced through me and then returned to the scepter. The scepter lit up first with red, then with white light, and began to change its color intermittently, almost blinking. The angel waved it nervously in the air. It looks like you haven't decided yet. Choose, now or never. Then never it is. Malbon came out to us. What do you mean? She's the same as me. Somewhere in between. Why should she choose? But who will she be then? Who should we consider her to be? Malbon thought for a couple of seconds and said, Harmony Bear. Got it! Achievement unlocked. Balance. Become a Harmony Bear. Alright. The long struggle was worth it. Bearer. Are you having trouble hearing me? Oh, I don't know. Malbon looked at the dumbfounded crowd, grinned, and said unequivocally, disrupting the silence. There's both darkness and light inside of us. Isn't this the harmony we've all strived for? We are its embodiment. I'm done talking now. And then he left the stage. The angel and I looked at each other in bewilderment. Well. Aria Walker, stand up. I got up. He took my hand and lifted it. Meet the Harmony Bear. You've become the Harmony Bear. The applause deafened me. It all seemed unreal. It seems like it was only yesterday I started my journey, and now the angel interrupted my thoughts, whispering in my ear, You must give a speech. Okay, I think we've done this part before too. I can't remember if this was in there before. But I'm romancing Lucifer in this one, so this may or may not have been there. I don't know. If not, I'll take it out, but we'll see. Be brave, unclaimed. I'm not unclaimed anymore. Lucifer's gaze was almost tangible, but it made me even more nervous. I feel like that's kind of tied to romance, so we'll add that in there. Okay. I think this is also new. Did you have enough socializing for one day? Or are you avoiding the narrow-mindedness? Noticing Lucifer, I jumped up. Well, come here. He opened his arms. I rushed to him. Lucifer gave me a twirl in the air, then he sat on the bench and put me on his lap. There are many interesting things ahead. Are you looking forward to them? You bet. Especially anticipation of being with you without fear of its damn ban. He squeezed my cheeks between his fingers and pulled me towards him to kiss me. I laughed, hugged him, and looked again at the silent statue. The statue was watching me the same way I was watching it. I'll always remember this moment. That was the moment I was reborn, the moment I decided that I could handle everything that comes my way. I came to Lucifer's inauguration and watched proudly as he kneeled. His body began to transform. Once Lucifer returned to his second hypostasis, he got up, stretched out his arms, and roared. Okay. Now the demons bent their knees before him, the new Satan. All the events, school friends be replaced. I think that was Mimi. And I think Andy survived. Surprisingly, I got closer to him this time than Dino. Dino and Lloyd died. Lloyd dying was not expected, but that's okay. I saved him last time. But he's not in the next one anyway, so that's fine. Oh, I changed my name to Aria in this one because having a bunch of melodies around is not going to work. So, but we're sticking with the song names. For Heaven's Sacred Requiem, I'll probably name her something else music related. We'll see. Okay, and this time Lucifer is here in my room apparently. Says, sleep, it's too early. I slipped out from under the blanket, threw a robe around my shoulders, and went to the window. The towers of the citadel pierced the sky, sea dragons flew very close, and immortals scurried back and forth. 10 years had passed since Melba and I took charge. My body remained young and my skin radiantly smooth, but nature had changed somewhat, as had the world in which we lived. Increasingly, Malbon left the government's reins in my hands and the hands of those close to me while he shut himself away in his castle. Smothering him, it worried me less and less. Pretty sure we've gone over this before. I got enough glory. And Heaven's Sacred Run to get +2 strength. It's probably the same. But she was saying how their relationship is a little bit fractured. Yeah, I wonder, like, oh yeah, don't we, like, break up or something? Disputes have begun to flare up between us more often. Lucifer began to withdraw. She said he wanted to open up to me, but he kept me at a distance as if he feared that at some point I'd leave him. Or maybe I was imagining all of that. But then why am I so restless? And what does Chef Milan want to tell me? Is there really going to be an attack on the capital? We'll find out. Oh, that's a different thing. Lucifer grinned as he offered his hand, and as I placed my palm over his, pulled me close. I'm counting on that. You don't like it when I come down to you. It isn't the best place for immortals. Are you hiding something from me? Not more than necessary. I pulled away, shrugging my shoulders in annoyance. You're obligated to report everything to me. Lucifer pushed off the wall and straightened up, towering over me. He bent down so his lips lingered against my cheek and whispered, Do you want to compete over titles? I want you to be honest with me. He traced his finger over my face and thoughtfully replied, I'm being as honest with you as I can be. I smacked his arm, proudly lifting my chin. You undermined my authority by making me look like a fool. I should have known about what was happening in hell. You hardly sleep. You toss and turn, moaning from nightmares, and then you run out to the citadel and stay late. What was I supposed to tell you? I could feel Lucifer's composure becoming shakier by the second, but his temper suddenly cooled. He touched my back, then hugged me, stepping closer. I don't meddle in your council business. Why are you always trying to catch me by the balls, Arya? Shocked, a sound almost like a squeak escaped my lips, and I turned to face him. Me? By the balls? Are you out of your mind? Lucifer shoved his hands in his pockets again. Some girls passed by. They chuckled, apparently discussing him and making eyes at him. He looked at them, but indifferently, only reacting to their laughter. Well, yes, you're afraid that I'll take over. Lucifer smiled charmingly and, bending slightly, quietly added, "Except you're already mine. I won't hurt you anymore." Ooh, that didn't age well. Yours? That's debatable. His smile faded as he hugged me again and said, this time in a serious tone, "I need to go to hell." I nodded. The demons must be worried. He touched my chin and hesitated as if he wanted to say something, but only kissed me briefly on the lips. Before pulling away, he whispered, "Be careful." Always. Lucifer spread his wings and soared off into the sky. I slowly wandered on, reflecting on my life. Okay. He extended his hand to me. I froze, looking up at him. Plague angrily slammed her hands down the armrest. "Did I give you permission to help her?" Lucifer's hand trembled, but he didn't take it away. He turned his head and said, "We don't have time to wait for her to stand up." Then he looked at me again. Seeing that I wasn't moving, he grabbed my wrist with one hand and my waist with the other one and sharply pulled me up. For a moment, we were pressed against each other. He sighed in annoyance, and his hot breath brushed my cheek. "I can't believe you held such a high rank." His words wounded me like a knife, but his hands held me gently, without any trace of hatred, and then he let me go. Okay. Looks like she's trying to tear through memories right now, and I think this one, she chose this one because we're with Lucifer, I think. So cold compared to hell, so terribly cold. This place is opposite of me. You interrupted the memory. So that's how your feelings started. No, that's... She turned to Lucifer. "Were you together?" "Yes, but now it doesn't matter." "Are you sure?" "Yes, now everything has changed." Approached him and gently ran a finger along his cheek. "Only because a golden boy like you needs the best, someone truly special. But in this new reality, she's no longer special, nothing but trash, right?" "Yes." Rufus's eyes shifted from her to me and he reiterated, "Trash." His words were as sharp as a blade, but I didn't believe them. He's telling her that for a reason. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to give her a weapon against us. Plague pulled away from Lucifer, satisfied. "Poor thing, an unrequited love, huh?" I was stupid back then. Time has moved on, and I'm bored of Arya. Now there's no point in dragging out an inevitable breakup. Ah, so a couple is breaking up. What a shame. Didn't even move an eyebrow, just stared at them. That's not true, I know. Plague slyly looked at me. You don't believe him? She touched Lucifer again. But he will prove the truth of his words, right? Yes. Finally, Plague returned to her throne. Okay. Oh, this looks new. Lucifer. Kept his distance for a while, then abruptly swooped towards me as if he intended to attack and throw me from the dragon. Stop it. Stop what? Talking to you? Stop trying to catch my attention. Stop looking at me like that. And yes, stop talking to me. Are we back where we started? Why are you pushing me away? 10 years doesn't mean anything to you? He clenched his jaw as if holding back his rage and then said, Don't be so naive. If I loved you, do you think I would let you be kept in a dungeon? Would I let you suffer like that? Stop making excuses for me. I don't love you anymore. And I never did. You're lying. Rage filled my voice as tears rose to my eyes. I wanted to scratch his face and sob into his chest. I admit, I was interested in you. Attached, even. But love? He looked at me openly as if to say, See, I have nothing to hide. Do you think the son of Satan, the son of a father like that, can love someone? Love like you imagined? While you were lying in a cell, a lot of things happened here. I don't have time for you. Lucifer continued to speak, and with each phrase his voice became more and more venomous. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't let me get a word in. When he finally fell silent, I slowly turned my face away, pressed my other cheek against the dragon's neck, and stared into the distance. Tears ran down the scales before they were carried away and scattered by the wind, freezing in the air. I couldn't believe what Lucifer was saying. My shock left me feeling nothing but emptiness. Lucifer was still nearby as if waiting for some response. Sure. I turned to face him again, knowing that my cheeks were tear-stained and looked exhausted. My voice was quiet. I know what you want to do, but I don't understand why. You can love, I know it. Don't you dare try to convince me otherwise. You're very stupid. You're a fool if you think saying that will make me stop loving you. Lucifer looked at me with a piercing gaze that hid so much behind it. I studied his sharp, angry eyes well enough to recognize the shimmer in their depths as regret, and his lips, closed in seeming contempt, were actually tense from playing a role. I knew that words he'd never tell me were stuck in his throat, that his tongue burned from the disgusting things he'd had to say to me, but maybe I was wrong. And Lucifer, noticing my flicker of doubt, seized upon it. His lips once again parted, killing any hope inside me that all of this wasn't real. And you're going to have a hard time with your love unclaimed. Lucifer hurried away, catching up with Plague and Malbon, who were flying ahead of everyone. I clung to the dragon again, holding back my sobs, but tears no longer ran down my cheeks. The relationship with Lucifer is over, but it's up to you whether it's destined to resume. Okay, I guess. Something began to emerge from the emptiness inside me, a stubborn desire to survive and prove to everyone that I was no longer an ordinary mortal who could be pushed around. I'll leave all my feelings behind. I won't look back. Just one thing that dungeon taught me is that you can get used to even pitch darkness. Alright. Alright, but this time, we're going to continue dancing with Lucifer and see where this goes. I find something to be particularly interesting before we go forward here. I think it's important to remember something, that she murdered his father without any remorse or hesitation. Like, listen, he hated his father as much as he loved him, but that doesn't change the fact that she did kill his father. All I'm saying, she's completely valid for being upset with him for being the one to kill her father, absolutely. All I'm saying is I can kind of see where they would have grounds to kind of discuss this. Either way, though, I still think their relationship is completely toxic. But here we go. Lucifer led us a little further away, clear of the circle of dancing couples. Why did you do that? We just started. I didn't want to stop so soon. Why did you make me a slave? You were already a slave. I just changed your master. How noble of you. Finally, Lucifer looked at me again. It actually is. I avoided his gaze. I was looking somewhere over his shoulder, but I felt how he was studying my face. I wonder what you think of me. I couldn't hold back my laughter. Trust me, you're better off not knowing. No, tell me. I pondered for a moment before savoring the bitterness of my words. You were the ruler of hell, and now you bow your knee to an usurper. It's like you went back in time to when you were nothing but a shadow of your father at the academy. I know it all, boasting about someone else's power. I saw the effect of my words on Lucifer. His fingers tightened painfully on my waist for a moment, and his face became waxy and pale with rage. But he tamed his anger and his grip relaxed. You don't know anything about me. You and I were together. Let that remain in the past. Now was Lucifer's turn to spit poison. He grinned wickedly. Now what does that mean? Did I open up to you? I exhaled nervously and turned away again. He did the same. We were like two strangers who accidentally bumped each other on the street. I suddenly stumbled on his foot. For a moment our dancing faltered, but Lucifer lifted me by the waist, set me in front of him, and twirled me again. I had to continue the charade. His quick breaths burned my skin. I tightly closed my eyes, trying not to pay attention to it. But every time we turned, his fingers glided over my thigh, and his hot breath made me shiver with renewed intensity. Shivers of disgust. Yes, I hated him. He killed my father, and now he's made me his slave. Was he enjoying torturing me? What was he trying to achieve? I won't be obedient. I won't fulfill your wishes. I wasn't going to ask you for anything. His answer surprised me, but just in case I added, even though Plague thinks I'm your toy, I'm not. I won't let you. I won't give up. He laughed wearily. It doesn't matter. What do you mean? As far as Plague and all the other immortals are concerned, you belong to me. Your well-being depends on my word. You can grant it to me, or you can. take it away. That's right. Lucifer pulled me closer. I tensed, trying to stay as far away from him as possible. We spun faster. Lucifer clasped my palms, stretching out our hands out. I continued to avoid his gaze, but he was searching for mine. The violins and piano played in a frenzy, bringing their piece towards an inevitable conclusion. Our dance was coming to an end, but Lucifer didn't seem to want to finish it. He wanted to say something, but fell silent in mid-sentence, and kept on spinning me, squeezing me in his arms. Finally, the melody came to an end. The couples began to disperse in all directions. Lucifer reluctantly slowed down. As soon as he relaxed his hold on me, I threw his arms from my waist. Our eyes met by chance. I turned around and hurried away from him. I knew that he was looking at me, and it made my back and cheeks burn, and my heart was beating painfully fast. I ran my trembling hands over my hair and straightened my skirts. Looking around with agitation, I tried to spot Lucifer. I should be cold and indifferent with him if I want to keep my heart in one piece. Alright, and now we get to episode 5, I think? Right? 4, 5, one of those. 5, because... yeah. Pretty sure. The first episode was mostly about Plague showing up. Then 2 is Plague being there. Then 3 is the assignment. My dad. Then 4, the ball. Then 5, yeah. Some devices can suppress the abilities of immortals, making them similar to ordinary people. I know I'm impulsive. I act first without thinking. Yep, no thought at all. But with thinking comes doubt, and I don't want to doubt. Maybe you should just a little bit. Many might disagree with me, but you haven't been in my place, you haven't seen so many deaths, and you haven't died yourself. That's certainly true. Still, there's other people who have been in your place in this story. Just saying. But anyway, that's why I'll choose my own path, without looking back, without regrets. More power to you, you got it. I'm ready to lay down my life without hesitation for those I care about and for what I believe in. However, are you ready to risk those that you care about? Oh! Another hand. Okay, I wonder what happens when they all curl back. Episode 5, The Punishment. Oh, yeah. Depictions of physical and psychological abuse continue at your own discretion. Lucifer latched the door, slowly walked past me, and opening a drawer on the nightstand by the bed, began to look for something. Are you really gonna punish me? Seriously? Without looking at me, he answered, Why not? You and I rule together. You in heaven and I in heaven. You in hell and I in heaven. We had authority and power, and now what? We're students again and you're a glorified errand boy for the Father and Plague this time? Father's an even bigger pawn than me. Stop it, that's all in the past. Lucifer took out a pair of... I wonder if that's dialogue that wouldn't be there if you weren't together. Lucifer took out a pair of handcuffs from the drawer, roughly lifted me by the hand, and threw me on the floor near the bed. You bastard. He squatted down in front of me, twisted my hands behind my back, and cuffed them to the leg of the bed. I tried to escape the best I could, but it was hopeless. Where did you get handcuffs? The metal snap shut around my wrist. You're better off not knowing. Lucifer rose, looming over me. I tensely waited for what would follow. He was my father's killer, the servant of the horseman, a demon I no longer knew. He might do anything to me. You're also his father's killer. Just keep that in mind. Just because his father is alive. Now. Let's keep that in mind. Okay? You're not above him on that level. I'm sorry. You're just not. Like, especially with afterwards. Like, one of the first things she did afterwards was she got angry at him that he didn't want to talk to her. And I'm like, of course he doesn't want to talk to you. What the heck? Like, I don't know what else... how I reacted the first time reading it, but going through it a second time, I'm like, where do you get off acting like this? I don't know. But to my surprise, Lucifer turned on his heel and went to the desk, which held a pile of books. He opened one of them and began to read. I looked at him like a haunted wolf cub, watching his movements from under my brows. I noticed him frowning or smiling at different lines. I followed his long, rough fingers as they deftly turned pages. I kept waiting for him to speak up, to set his book aside and rush at me, hurling insults or something worse. But he didn't. He didn't do anything. He just sat there and read. Maybe I should do something? I'm good. Yeah, it'd be better if I just keep quiet for once. I feel better when he's minding his own business and not bothering me. Yeah, both of y'all need some space. Someone knocked on the door quietly and hastily, as if that someone was flirting or joking. Lucifer reluctantly... Is there like such a thing as like a flirty knock? That's such a weird thing to say. Lucifer reluctantly got up and opened the door. Asti stepped into the room with an air of authority. Oh, I haven't seen Asti in a while. After the war, she spent a short time in heaven and then returned to hell to her father. I haven't seen her in years. I wonder if she still doesn't like me. Asti took a few steps before she noticed me. What is she doing here? Then claim belongs to me now, remember? And what does she have to... What does she have to spend the night in your room now? Did I read that right, or... I'm right here. Ignoring my words, Lucifer replied. She tried to escape, and now she must be punished. He looked at Asti as if remembering something. His gaze was tired and irritated. Why are you here? Melba wouldn't let you on his couch? Shut up. She walked over and yanked on my handcuffs. The cold metal dug into my skin. Take it easy. Shut up. Maybe I should punish her? Lucifer approached her and grabbed her wrist, keeping her from making any sudden movements. I'll ask again, Asti. Why did you come? She lowered her hands in defeat and stepped aside. I want to talk in private, without her. She moved closer, familiarly putting her hands on his chest and straightening his clothes. We have things to discuss. Not now. If not now, then when? She could kill us at any moment. Asti noticed I was carefully studying her face. She immediately turned away, angrily wiped her tears, and said, looking over her shoulder, What are you staring at? I calmly, almost affectionately said, We're not enemies anymore, Asti. Why are you acting like this? We aren't enemies, but we've fallen into the places we belong. Plague restored my father's title of throne. Your mother won't be able to take away what's rightfully his. Why are you crying then? Asti bared her teeth like a wild animal and turned away again. Asti, go to Melba. He tried to escort her to the door, but she shoved his hands away unsteadily. Is that unfeeling machine? He despises me. Asti looked at me. He despises us all, but he also joined her. He bit his knee, too. Lucifer shook Asti in an attempt to bring her back to her senses. Calm down. He opened the door and stood there, his stance making it clear that she had to leave his room. Go away, Asti. We'll talk later. She immediately went out into the hallway, then said, Enjoy your toy. Hope you get your fill before we all die. Lucifer slammed the door. For a moment, our eyes met. She's afraid, and I understand her. He sat on the edge of the bed, never breaking eye contact. I cautiously moved away, and he noticed it. We were close. We shared a bed, a roof, and our thoughts. What happened while I was in that dungeon? Lucifer was so close, but I couldn't reach him. He did everything he could to make me hate him, but I couldn't. I still couldn't. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I shook my head, trying to get rid of my fleeting weakness. He's still a mystery to me. Your father was brought back too? Lucifer's eyes flared scarlet for a moment, but the flame dimmed and faded. So what? Aren't you happy about that? You don't seem too concerned about your mother either. I have a complicated relationship with her. Same for me. Okay. For 10 years, he never completely opened up to me. Maybe now... Wait, I'm sorry, what? Maybe now is the moment? Not while you were together for a whole decade? Maybe I can figure out why he joined Plague? Are these questions you never asked him in a 10-year relationship? Well, this is what I mean by a toxic relationship. I'm sorry. Did you not talk about the important things at all? Like, was your father cruel to you? Lucifer jumped up, looming over me again with a bitter grin on his lips. Are you gonna feign sympathy so you can get inside my head? I recoiled from him, offended. You may have forgotten, but we were close once, and despite that, you've never been open and honest with me. My voice unexpectedly broke into a trembling cry. You never talked about your family or your past, no matter how much I asked you. Okay, to be fair, okay, she did ask. The fact that he didn't open up at least a little bit is still toxic. I'm just saying. Why were you together? I don't get it. Only in broad strokes so that I drop the subject and not pester you with questions. You know what, let me stop talking. Let me finish. I dropped the subject and not pester you with questions. I guess you must have gotten bored with me quickly, since you were so secretive with me. Lucifer irritably grabbed the bed's footboard and squeezed it violently as if he was imagining my neck beneath his fingers. That's not the point, Arya. I don't need your pity. I don't feel sorry for you. You killed my father. If you didn't live in hell, I'd want you burned there. So you should be burned there too, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Y'all, two sides of the same coin. Like, this has not changed. Despite the fact that he had a complicated relationship with his father, does not excuse you. He chuckled. Don't worry, I've burned there enough. Apparently not. You never learn to keep your mouth shut. You're in my power, but you don't even try to be careful. I am being careful. I want to get to know my captor better. I want to know about Satan, who has returned. You want to know about Satan? He sighed, looking thoughtfully out the window, and suddenly began to speak in a detached, unemotional voice, as if trying to forget who he was talking to. I don't know what you're expecting to hear, a maudlin story or the key to his destruction. My father is a pawn, like all of us, and he's eating him from the inside. It offends him. Apparently that thought brought real satisfaction to Lucifer. He doesn't like to obey, but he loves obedience. Since childhood, I've been a disappointment to him. Too weak, too stupid, too soft. Every time the acolytes came to me to tell me that my father was waiting for me, everything inside me shriveled up with fear and hatred for him. I dreamed of his death. When I went to him, I could see the disdain in his eyes. And then he would always tell me about yet another dissatisfaction I had to endure because of me. The servants reported that you found a dying bat. That's right, Father. Uh-oh. Carl said he witnessed it. Yes? Carl said he advised you to kill the poor creature, but you couldn't. His lip twitched with contempt. He said you were crying. Crying because you were too weak to kill, right? I didn't want to. Son of Satan, inhabitant of hell, you're a disgrace to our kind. Your sensitivity came from your mother. His entire demeanor made it clear that this trait repulsed him, but he loved my mother, so why was I despised for it? He stood up from his throne and descended one step, then another. As he slowly walked towards me, his armor clattered softly. It was like he was in a battle every day. We exist in this world to do evil for the greater good. I'll show you what happens when a demon pretends to be someone he shouldn't be. Burning pain shot through my chest. The fiery agony grew like a flame sucking in air. I screamed and cried, rolling at his feet as if that could put out the fire that was devouring me. And Father stood and watched like stupefied mortals frozen in front of the TV, his face devoid of emotion. For him, I was a tool, an experiment, an heir, anything but a son. When I got a little older, he began to beat me with the same indifferent, studying gaze, watching how quickly I managed to heal my wounds. Lucifer turned to me with a fierce, ruthless expression. You asked me if my father was cruel to me. Yes, but his real cruelty lay elsewhere. Now he has no power over me, but just as you passed from Plague's hand to mine, his power over me was replaced by another's. And until I'm the master of my own destiny, until I'm free, I cannot hold the position of Satan. So let Father live out his life, because the time will come when I'll kill him. The one who holds your life in their hands, is that Plague? Lucifer nodded slowly, like everyone else. Are you driven by your hatred of your father? It's despair that drives me, which means... He gritted his teeth. You're powerless against Plague. I hope you're satisfied with my story. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you. I don't need that. It'll be better if there's hatred between us and nothing else. He returned to the desk, opened his book, and continued to read. I twirled my hand, trying to relieve the numbness. Lucifer didn't look at me, and I was able to think calmly and watch him. He pushed me away, said I was trash, and then volunteered to be my master. And yet there had been no undue rage in his actions, no violence. The closer Plague was, the sharper his knives were, and the more accurately they struck their mark with the intent of hurting me. Lucifer was immersed in his book. He kept reading, and eventually I fell asleep. I woke up in the middle of the night in bed, covered with a blanket. The handcuffs were gone. My wrists were clean without a single scratch. Did everything heal that fast? I pulled the blanket aside and looked at my leg. The shackle suppressing my power was no longer there. I looked around sleepily and saw a figure standing by the window. Lucifer gazed at the horizon thoughtfully. He freed me. He turned around sharply. For a moment his face reflected a desperate longing drenched in endless bitterness, but he hid it away behind a smug grin. No, I took it off for the night to let your body recover. Plague forbid it. Once. She won't know. But since you're awake, Lucifer took the shackles and sitting on the bed near my feet, extended his hand expectantly. I need your leg. I instinctively hid it under the covers. Don't make me hurt you. He threw back the covers, grabbed my ankle, and pulled me towards him. Hey! My tone was reproachful, but realizing how it might sound, I blushed and abruptly fell silent. Is that what you want? For me to be gentler with you, Unclaimed? His voice became quieter and more intimate, but at the same time, I felt the hidden jeer in it. At first, I couldn't find anything to say, but I still managed to squeeze out a few stubborn words, brimming with pride. I haven't been an Unclaimed for a long time. You'll always be one. To you? To all birthright immortals. We stared at each other. At some point, I realized that Lucifer was still holding my leg, but his fingers were no longer squeezing my skin, only barely touching it. I was his slave, his toy. He was shackling me to deprive me of the last drops of my strength. And yet, if someone had walked into the room at that moment, they'd surely see things in a completely different light. As if it was Lucifer who bowed before me, as if he was my slave, my subject. The way he held my foot in his open hands, the way he gently wrapped his fingers around my leg. Uh-oh. I broke it again. A shaky breath escaped my lips, and I looked away, feeling my cheeks burn. Noticing my reaction, Lucifer seemed to suddenly see the situation as I had and sharply recoiled. For a while, we were silent and didn't look at each other. Then he raised his voice. Put it on. I'm not your servant. You're the one who needs it. You put it on. Do you want Plague to make you her toy again? Just do it. I remained still, not taking my eyes off him. I considered his words, imagining what my future would look like. I slowly picked up the shackle and secured it around my ankle. I expected Lucifer to grin and gloat, but he only blankly watched what I was doing. I was seized by deathly despair. That's not good. I had chained myself. I'd admitted that it was better to belong to Lucifer than to Plague. The only freedom I had left was to choose whom I belonged to. I started to tremble. It might have been from self-loathing, from the hopelessness of my situation, or from the fact that the metal chilled my skin. Lucifer covered my legs with the blanket. I looked at him with such surprise that he laughed. What? I thought you wanted to drive me into despair, but right now you're helping me fight it. He stopped smiling and his expression became serious and somewhat harsh, as if he wanted to sober me up. I wanted to keep a speck of good in me before I completely plunged into darkness. You have nothing to do with it. And don't look at me so hopefully. It's times like this that I hate you even more than ever. For what? What did I do to you? He sighed. You don't understand. You feel like everyone but you has a choice. But just because only your shackles are visible, it doesn't mean the rest of us don't have our own. His eyes flashed with rage. He grabbed my clothes and pulled the fabric, hissing through his teeth. And you're just adding another ring around my neck. He pushed me back onto the pillows and got off the bed. Go to sleep. Tomorrow I'll show you I'm not on your side. Are you trying to give me whiplash? You warm up to me and then douse me with ice just to make it hurt more. He thought it over and nodded, but his nod was uncertain and seemed insincere. Or maybe I was clinging to hope and refusing to see reality for what it was. I followed his advice, covering myself with a blanket and turning on my other side. I couldn't fall asleep, but my breathing became slow and steady. Sometimes it seemed that I was dozing off, but as soon as Lucifer sighed or moved, I immediately woke up. He stood by the window for a long time, and sat down at the desk and began to read. His presence filled the room with an inexplicable calmness. I was grateful for the fact that he didn't touch or mock me, and that he kept his distance. But at the same time, I hated myself for that gratitude. He killed my father. I didn't want to make excuses for him. It was easier for me to hate him for it than to let him off the hook. I now perceived every scrap of kindness as a gift. There was something humiliating about it. Soon Lucifer put down the book, walked over to the bed, and stood there thinking about something. My heart was beating wildly, and I felt such excitement that I could hardly breathe. Does he want to lie down next to me? Lucifer moved. I couldn't help shuddering. He stopped again, then returned to the desk. Lucifer continued to read, and I fell asleep before he finished. I woke up gasping for air. I didn't dream anything, but my body was shaking as if from a nightmare. I looked around for something to cling to, wanting to escape the vague, lingering sense of anxiety. Lucifer slept at the desk with his head resting on his folded hands. Did he sit there all night? I got out of bed and cautiously tiptoed to him. His breath made the crumbled sheets of paper rustle in front of his face. Lucifer? I softly said his name, but he only muttered something and continued to sleep. Then, seized by an impulse, I reached out and moved aside a strand of hair that had fallen in front of his face. There was a knock on the door, and Lucifer instantly opened his eyes. I froze, still holding the strand of hair between my fingers. What are you doing? He really pushed my hand away and rose to open the door. While he was talking to the alkali, I continued standing there looking in front of me, confused and bewildered. What's wrong with me? The door closed. Lucifer threw some clothes, which he'd apparently just received, at me. Get ready. Where are we going? Plague is waiting for us. I tried to hide the horror that gripped me. I laid out the clothes in front of me and ran my hand over the silk. Where did these come from? I asked him to bring it for you. Get dressed. We don't have time. He spoke coldly, even rudely, and with an impatience I didn't understand. Maybe he knew what was waiting for us. How long are you going to just stand there? Look away. Lucifer hesitated before turning his back to me. I hastily changed my clothes. Ooh, sparkly! Oh, I love it. I probably should have checked whatever else they had. Just immediately. You know what? Don't go back. Pretty. We're good. We go. I'm ready. Lucifer, without looking at me, opened the door and gestured to go out. We were silent all the way, and this only amplified the despondency and nervousness I felt over the inevitable meeting with the horsewoman. Okay. So, as you guys know, I was romancing Lucifer the first time I played Heaven's Secret, and then I flip-flopped, switched to Dino, then flip-flopped, went to Malbon, trying to figure out what made the most sense for me. And I came back to Lucifer this time around because one reason specifically, because of the whole dichotomy with them killing each other's fathers and stuff like that, and that whole thing. And they flesh out Lucifer quite a bit more than they do other characters. I don't know, for some reason. I'm not sure why they do that. But anyway, so mostly I'm just trying to figure out how they plan on moving them past this. Is it just because, are they just going to go on, oh, where they're drawn to each other, so eventually they'll just kind of get over it? Or will they, like, actually have a real conversation about it? That's what I want to know. But I still have the same problems about her relationship with Lucifer that I had in the past, and I don't know. So I'm struggling here. I am struggling. So probably moving forward, I'll just kind of go back to Malbon's perspective. I suppose that's also toxic in a totally different way, but at least it's less. It's just less. What's it? Angst? I guess. I don't know. Like I said, angst there too. I suppose. I'm not a huge fan of angst to begin with, but I don't know. I guess Lucifer's relationship kind of feels like a teenage novel angst, whereas Malbon's kind of angst is kind of a little bit more mature. Don't get me wrong. I love Lucifer as a character. He's definitely going through some emotions, and I kind of like seeing how he evolves and develops, and we don't get to see that unless you only get to see a little bit of that if you're not romancing him. So, like, I'm curious about that, but I don't think romance-wise it does anything for me, but we'll see. Okay. Plague sat on her throne as usual, but what surprised me was Kira sitting in her arms again. So I went back again, and Kira's just some random girl. The girl didn't look scared. She calmly watched as Lucifer and I approached. Mistress. Lucifer bowed, forcibly pulling me along with him. Plague looked at him with a displeasure that resembled disappointment. I'm waiting for someone. I don't have time for you. We'll come as soon as you call us. Lucifer grasped my wrist, about to leave, but Plague's voice made him stop. I felt him tense up. No, stay. I want you to see this. The doors opened. Vincia slowly walked into the hall, almost seeming to float. Behind him, Mimi's mother took long strides. Mimi's mother? We'd only seen each other a few times. She was constantly away. A thin cigarette smoldered in her fingers as usual. Release my daughter now. Oh. She folded her arms across her chest, one leg angled to her side as if this were a casual conversation. Her stance was so provocative, daring, and relaxed at the same time. Plague smiled, but I saw her eyes flash with displeasure. I can't. Eliza shook the ashes on the floor and stared thoughtfully at the cigarette. When she spoke, her voice was menacingly calm. I came here, horsewoman, to your territory, into your rotten mouth. I came without my husband, without saying a word to anyone about where I was going. You can see the despair in my actions. I know it. Her pupils turned red, but only for a moment. Let my daughter go. Plague giggled and slowly turned her wrist, emphasizing her restraint. The demon Mammon refused to help me, but he was once great. He has the power to plunge people into the abyss, but he escaped and is now hiding somewhere. You ran away too. I need to take it out on someone. And so you've come here, Eliza, descendant of Alizda, asking me to give up your daughter? Where were you before? I'm not going to justify myself to you. And if you don't want to justify yourself to me, then do it for your own daughter. Eliza's confidence faltered for the first time. She turned around in fear. Mimi was standing at the door. The acolytes brought her to Plague. Baby. Mimi didn't even look at her mother. Seeing her daughter, Eliza lost her composure. We didn't have a way to save you. We wanted to find one. We wanted to be careful. Mimi looked straight ahead. Tears welled up in her eyes, ready to roll down her cheeks. So, did you find a way? Shut your trap. Plague burst out laughing. At least you tried. Now you can die. No. Plague's minions that stood along the walls rushed at Eliza. She furiously fought off their attacks and, having snapped the neck of her last opponent, took out a snooze cigarette. Breathing heavily, she lit it and blew smoke right at Plague. Without dissipating, it reached her face. Your charms don't work on me. I know. But I liked how hard you fought. Mimi stood very close to Plague and yet steadfastly held herself upright. I wanted to spoil her. I wanted to tell her that everything would be alright. It was unbearable for me to see Mimi suffer, and Plague felt it. She grabbed her by the neck and pulled her closer. Kira jumped up from the horsewoman's lap and backed away, frightened. Mimi. Lucifer pushed down on my shoulder so forcefully that I collapsed. My knees struck in the floor painfully. Shut up. See how they worry about you? Who do you think is in more pain? You or them as they watch you suffering? I'm not afraid of you. There's no need to be afraid. She forcefully opened Mimi's mouth open and exhaled down her throat. Mimi's body shuddered and convulsed. She shook and rolled on the floor, unable to even to scream. Let her go. Lucifer tightened his grip on my shoulder. Shut up. Mimi's face turned blue. It looked like she couldn't breathe. Her fingers contorted in spasm as she tried to claw away the invisible rope wrapped around her throat, and powerless tears slid over her temples. Eliza fell to her knees. I'll do anything you ask. Just leave her alone. Remove her shackles and let her go. Free my daughter. Plague's lips quirked in a smile. Bring Maman here, or your daughter will die. She looked bored with Mimi's continuing agony. She will die a slow death. Eliza's lips trembled. She loved her husband no less than her daughter. I'll bring him. Just free her. I'll remove her shackles, but she'll stay at the school. Mimi, in exchange for Maman. Okay. Plague slowly and mockingly approached Mimi, opened her lips again, and inhaled the poisonous cloud. Then she released her from the shackles with their characteristic click. Mimi immediately seemed to relax, but she remained unconscious. Eliza clung to her daughter and cradled her head in her lap. She was no longer crying, but her wild fear for Mimi was etched on her face. I watched them with my eyes wide open. Mimi had suffered because Eliza loved her. That was what Plague did to everyone. Plague rose from her throne and approached them. She leaned over and looked down at them like small insects crossing her path. Go and get Maman. Eliza gently removed Mimi's head from her lap, stood up, and took out another cigarette. Not even a trace of despair remained on her face. From now on, you won't touch Mimi or the deal is off. Eliza turned and headed for the exit. As she neared us, she stopped abruptly, looked into my eyes for a few seconds, and then continued on. Mimi needs to be taken to the infirmary. No. Lucifer grabbed my elbow and took me to the center of the hall. Oh yeah, you're still here. Did you enjoy the show? Plague returned to the throne and beckoned Kira with her finger. I'm tired. Plague turned to her, annoyed. You dare talk to me? Sorry, mistress. The horsewoman sighed and waved her hand. You can go. Why is she being so nice to Kira? Like, it is a weird thing. Like, what is going on with her and this kid? I know she said she hadn't seen children before, but, like, it seems very strange. I hope it's nothing sinister that she's preparing her for. The doors opened again, and the woman I'd met earlier entered the hall. She carried drinks on a tray, the glasses clinking as she moved. Tina, right on time. My throat is dry from these endless conversations. She was lost, and I gave her directions. Yeah. I only know because I just played that. My pleasure, mistress. Plague slowly took a drink and turned to Lucifer. Did you punish the unclaimed for not doing her job properly? Yes, mistress. And how? I handcuffed her. Is that all? The worst punishment for the unclaimed is to ignore her. She spent a lot of time in the dungeon. She feels lonely and lost, and I wanted to remind her of that. The deepest despair comes gradually. Plague's displeasure subsided, but her doubts were visible. That's not enough. I expected more sophistication from you. I want Arya to suffer. Otherwise, I'll give her to someone else. I understand, mistress. Do you? I don't think so. If you had, you would have done what I wanted you to do with her. But I'll show you. An example. Plague squeezed the throne's arms, and an instant later she was in front of us. She grabbed Lucifer by the throat and threw him across the hall. He hit the wall and fell to the floor in a shower of plaster. So, your father beat you up? I looked into his head. He despised you. Plague hit him again and again, and Lucifer didn't even try to defend himself. What kind of Satan could come out of you? Your father was right. I stood with my hands pressed to my mouth. Plague didn't stop talking for even a moment. She beat him and whispered something in his ear, and her words crushed Lucifer more than her fist. When he couldn't get up, she turned to me. Now it's your turn, little bird. Glasses shattered with a clinking sound. Mistress, I'm so sorry. I'll clean everything right away. Plague sighed irritably. I can't concentrate when my throat is so dry. Go make me another drink. She returned to the throne as if she had lost interest in me. What? She just asked for directions! How would that come in clutch like this? What the heck? Oh my gosh. Lucifer staggered to his feet, straightened his clothes, and leaning against the wall, wearily said, I understand, mistress. Let me make amends. Can I take her to the dungeon? And what are you going to do with her? Just leave her there? I assure you, she will suffer. You can feed on her desperation. Fincio had silently stood nearby like a shadow the whole time, but he suddenly raised his voice. I will oversee his efforts, mistress. Well, go ahead. Fincio gestured for me to follow him and Lucifer. This is too much. How much more can I take? No, I won't go back to the dungeon. But I didn't have a voice in the matter. Noticing my hesitation, Lucifer moved closer to force me to go with him. Okay. He let me walk ahead and followed me. We walked past the students looking at us, entered the tower, and ascended to the highest floor. I stopped in front of the heavy bars, trembling all over, panicked by the mere thought of being in the dark again alone. Fincy opened the iron cage, and Lucifer roughly pushed me inside. A chair was positioned in the middle of the cell. It had straps and a rusty headrest. What is this? What are you gonna do? Fincy removed Plague's shackles from me. The power of immortality immediately returned to my battered, tormented body, and I felt all the new bruises and wounds begin to heal. What new bruises and wounds? From what? Because he took off her shackles so she could sleep in his room for a while, and so she woke up healed. And since then, no one's hurt her. Maybe this line was left in here in case you didn't help the girl and she didn't distract Plague, but they left this in here anyway and thought we wouldn't notice. But we noticed. Come on, Lucifer. Do what you must. No, this is too much. You volunteered to be her master. The punishment is your responsibility. Shut your mouth, Fincio. Lucifer pushed me into the chair and began to tighten the straps on my wrists, ankles, and around my neck. When he caught my frightened look, he said in a detached voice, Do you still think I'm on your side? How much more are you going to toy with me? Until you break. Begin, Lucifer. Lucifer looked straight into my eyes and turned away as if unable to stand it. If you don't, I will. It's better that way. You'll be more efficient. What should I tell Plague? She's going to see my face in her memories. Tell her that my father was right. And he left the cell. Lucifer, please. Fincio loomed so close that I could smell his breath. This will hurt. He took out a knife and slashed my arm. Then a stone flashed in his fingers. You better not look. The uncertainty is so depressing. With each word that Fincio spoke, he brought his face closer so that I could see only him. He tightened a strap on my neck so that I couldn't turn my head, and then a sharp pain pierced me. My hand burned so intensely that I almost fainted. No, you have to remember everything. I need to show the horsewoman, right? I'm so sorry you weren't left to rot in non-existence. Me too, believe me. And the hellish torment continued. No matter how much he tortured me, no matter how much he mocked me in his strange, perverse way, I didn't scream. He sat quietly, tightly pursing my lips, clenching my teeth, and only silent, uncontrollable tears flowed down my cheeks. You're stronger than I thought. You're even worse than Dino thought you were. Fincio paused for a moment, then proceeded to cut my hand. Did he hate me even after death? Were you expecting something else? I laughed and immediately coughed, holding back rising sobs. You always try to hurt me by reminding me of Dino. He chuckled, but without malice. And do you know what the most upsetting part is? He brought his face closer again. It always works. He stuck something in my arm, pushing it all the way to the bone. I bit my tongue to keep from screaming, my mouth filled with blood. You're an impulsive idiot who'd kill me in cold blood if given a chance. I even like that you're in pain. We'll see when you end up in my place. It was difficult for me to say anything, but I spat those words right in his face with the last of my strength. Fincio began to whisper something in my ear, some separate incoherent words, the meaning of which escaped my mind. I was on the verge of fainting, but continued talking to me, and every word pierced my brain and seemed to remain there forever. But when I tried to understand their essence, the words slipped away, hiding so deep inside my mind that no one could reach them. Soon I lost consciousness, only to wake to a new wave of pain, though not so strong. The strap was gone from around my neck. Through a veil of drowsiness, I saw Fincio holding a knife over my bloodied hand. I removed the shackle so you can regenerate. When a cut is made in the same place, even immortals cannot suppress the pain. Please. I passed out again. The white ceiling blinded me. A suffocated herbal smell filled the air, and cold, stiff sheets irritated my skin. I was lying on an infirmary bed, surrounded by other injured, unclaimed, but hidden from their eyes behind a screen. How long have I been here? I stretched in the bed, but groaned from the pain in my arm. A shadow appeared behind the screen. Who's there? The fabric moved and Eliza appeared. What are you doing here? You're not allowed. Shh. Eliza sat on the edge of the bed, took my hand, and squeezed it tightly, almost painfully. I don't have much time. Listen and remember. Eliza? She pulled me to her ear and quickly whispered in my ear. There is an order of resistance. We haven't given up yet, and we'll never give up. We'll try to get you out, but for now you have to pretend you're on Plague's side. You have to ingratiate yourself with her. She spoke quickly, almost breathlessly, not letting me get a word in. And most importantly, Arya, most importantly, you must cut all ties with my daughter. But, Eliza, she squeezed my fingers tighter. It's better to let Mimi hate you. Then Plague won't use your feelings against the two of you. Plague knows that Mimi is dear to you and will use it. Show her that this won't work, that you don't care about Mimi, and then she'll look for other ways to hurt you. Eliza shook my hands. Promise me. I promise. You mustn't tell anyone about our conversation. Nobody. Never. Do you understand? Won't she just look in my head and see it, though? Yes. I mean, we've been using that MacGuffin this whole time. Eliza released me with relief. Okay. I could ask her while she's here. What is the order? I think that it's in the name. All the orders remember severing ties with their loved ones. Apparently not. Who else is in the orders? My mom. Oh, that's a good question. There are many, my dear, but you'll find out more when the time is right. She cautiously looked out the window and whispered, I have to go. Don't forget your promise. Eliza. But she'd already disappeared behind the screen. Okay, just the one question. I covered my face with my hands and sighed heavily. This changes everything. If this order exists, then all is not lost. I watched Plague toying with Eliza and Mimi's fate. How weak their love made them. I need to act differently. I need to do everything in my power to gather information and pass it on to this resistance. I have to fight my hardest. I must fashion a new identity for myself. I must give up everything. Really? Right. Yeah, okay. And does that make you think about what anyone else has been doing this entire time? I was overcome by desperate determination. My body trembled with excitement, tears of hope, and welling in my eyes. All is not lost. I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Don't really think you ever were. A nurse soon came to visit and conveyed with sympathy that I was expected at a lesson. Plague would be angry if I didn't show up, and she couldn't care less that because of the damn shackles I needed more time to recover. I got up somehow and went out into the yard where the lesson with Garrett was taking place. Listen, I don't dislike, what's her name, Vicky? I don't dislike her. Don't think that I don't. I actually understand her a lot better than I did the first time I read Heaven's Secret. But girl, sometimes I just want to just shake her just a little bit. It's like, okay, so you got there, right? So connect the dots to what everyone else is doing. Why do you assume like you're like the only person who's going through this? I don't understand. He stood in front of the assembled students with his arms folded across his chest. Among those present, I saw Mimi. She also noticed me and smiled with relief, waving her hand. I wanted to hug her or smile back, but I forced myself to look away. Really now? So now she has this mentality. I'm interested to see how she takes other people's actions. Oh, Lord. Today, we will train your regeneration skills. Why? Does someone still not know how? He grinned at me over his shoulder. Even if I had regeneration skills, I wouldn't be able to use them right now because I'm wearing shackles, idiot. Like, still, yes, of course she does not know how to do that. Because she doesn't know anything about her powers at all. But, like, the point is, she can't use them even still. So, like, your remark means nothing. You just look stupid. Anyway. If it should happen that you lose the ability to recover using your powers, you should know how to do it through other means. I looked gratefully at Gerald. He found a discreet way to help me. You know, I think you're overrated. Why bother with shackles if you don't have any strength? I didn't realize that he was addressing me at first. I wasn't expecting Christopher to speak to me. I'm sure the mistress trained me up so that I would know where I belong. And where is that? At the mistress's feet. I decided to be obedient and humble. Where's your brother? I looked around for Astaroth. A smile played on Christopher's lips, but something elusive in his eyes and gestures was unsettling. He had things to do. Astaroth will return soon. Listen carefully. If you lose your powers, you should be even more focused on your body. You can't speed up your recovery, but you can slow the spread of infection and dull pain. Immortals are capable of this even in shackles. I met Gerald's gaze. It's a matter of practice and focus. For the next half hour, Gerald explained how to transform concentration into energy capable of drawing a fragment of immortality's power from a nearly empty well. I tried as never before, realizing that it was the only thing I could do, but Plague soon arrived. With her appearance, all the students fell silent and lined up, looking around fearfully. Plague walked by. She looked into everyone's eyes and smiled slyly. She held her favorite drink in her hands. I used to fight with my brother all the time. Oh, he loved it. I think you should practice fighting. I don't want him to be bored. Otherwise. She grabbed the guy closest to her and, clicking her teeth in front of his nose, continued. He'll be in a bad mood. Plague pushed the unfortunate student away. Leaving, she said, "Practice." Gerald looked ahead vaguely, sadly thinking about something until Christopher called out. So, are we going to fight or what? Yes, let's begin. Everyone began to split off into pairs. Mimi walked towards me, but I pointedly turned away from her. Sorry. Passing me by, Christopher went to stand in front of Mimi. Will you fight me? Why? Now you're free from your shackles, I'd like to feel your strength. Well, that's what you're asking for. Mimi approached Christopher and ran her fingernail along his cheek, then quickly spun and ended up behind him, whispering something in his ear. Christopher staggered, smiled, and muttered something. And then Mimi struck him in the knees, causing him to fall to the ground. She immediately pulled his head back by the hair. She hissed right in his face. Are toys able to do this to their owners? I think I'm fascinated by you. Mimi pushed him away. She looked at me and I once again turned away from her. Ignoring Mimi is harder than I thought, especially when you keep watching her. I stayed on the sidelines watching the others without participating. Are you allowed to do that? I felt inferior next to them, deprived of my main weapon. Dino was returning from training. He looked a little out of breath and flushed as he crossed the yard where we were practicing. He stopped, wiping his face with a towel and watching the students' techniques. He hasn't even visited me since we last saw each other. Does he know what was happening to me? I mean, why would he go out of his way to visit you? I don't practice with him. I assume this is similar to before, where we can kind of just kind of hang out with people for a little bit before you have to seriously decide on something. Sure, why not? Across the battlefield, stopped in front of him and looked expectantly into his eyes. His hands dropped like a rag doll's, a towel clenched in his fist. How are you? He could barely move his lips. When it seems like it couldn't get any worse, life finds ways of surprising me. Dino leaned forward but stopped, looking at the students behind me. Why are you practicing? I have no power. He lowered his eyes as if that was his fault and smiled sadly. It never hurts to train. But what should I train? I noticed a flash of resentment towards Dino in my voice. For what? What did he do? I cleared my throat and awkwardly rocked on my heels. A lot of things. Endurance, muscle strength, agility, fighting strategy. Fighting strategy? Yeah, is that some crazy concept to you? I'm surprised you haven't been practicing that any time over these past 10 years. What were you doing? I guess in council board meetings, I guess. I don't know. She was assuming she never needed for some reason. Yes, it's what my father taught me. During a fight, many lose their focus and start acting on impulse, at random. But one of the most important advantages can be a level-headed analysis. You assess your opponent, identify his strengths and weaknesses, and, depending on that, develop a strategy. Dino tossed a towel on a tree branch and rolled up his sleeves. Would you like to try? I'm not sure. Don't be afraid, we're just practicing. I'll attack, but don't fight back just yet. Watch my movements. Try to understand my technique and predict what I'll do next. Well, okay. I was afraid that Dino would throw me on my back, but he moved slowly so I could take note of his every step. When he moved towards me, taking a swing, but not intending to complete the maneuver, I dodged, then ducked, anticipating what he'd do next. Good, very good. He whispered to me so that no one would hear. Sometimes, intelligence and cunning win out over superhuman powers. Then he raised his voice. How about we speed things up? Before I could answer, he had already attacked. The faster Dino moved, the harder it was for my thoughts to keep up with him. Eventually, I was overcome with delight. I didn't use force, but I managed to dodge every blow. Despair is losing its power over you. I laughed, feeling a forgotten sense of lightness. The other students started to pay attention to us. Among the many observers, I noticed Melvin. Apparently, he had been heading towards Plague, but stopped to watch me. He watched as I struggled, stripped of his power, fiercely trying to snatch a chance of keeping my head above water from the jaws of fate. I missed one of Dino's punches. Ouch. Another rule. Never get distracted. I know. Sorry. Nevertheless, I soon grew tired because of my chains. I started to stumble, missing obvious lunges, and it wasn't long before Dino stopped our training. That's enough for the first session. Dino stretched out his hand and helped me up from the ground where I fell again. You were born an ordinary human. You should know, better than anyone, what it's like to rely only on your mind and endurance. Use this to survive. He offered me the towel. I wiped the sweat from my face and said quietly, passing it back, "Thank you." Always a pleasure. I think I need to rest. I'm not used to this kind of activity. Of course, go. You did a good job. I nodded and went towards the school, but Dino called after me. Arya. Yes? I'm sorry I didn't visit you at the infirmary, and then I let Melba take you away. Honey, I'm pretty sure on both counts, you didn't really have a choice. Especially on that last count. I found out about what happened. I'm sorry. I wanted to help, but getting involved would have made things more complicated. He spoke quickly as if he was speaking to his mind to me, but I stopped him. It's okay, Dino. I understand. I'll see you around. He smiled, albeit somewhat sadly. I returned to my room. The latest events left me exhausted. I got into bed and fell asleep immediately. Alright, so who are you guys romancing? Let me know that in the comments if you made it this far. Let me know that, because you know what, I'm just gonna power through and probably just romance everybody for the most part. Just to see how things go. I don't know, and I decide where I want to go from there. I don't know. I woke up after the evening sun had dipped below the horizon. I was awoken by the sound of a slamming door. I got up and looked around the room. Nobody. I lay down again, but noticed something on the pillow. A note? Someone left the message next to my head. I took a piece of paper, apparently hastily torn off, and read, "The Graveyard for the Fallen. OR. The Resistance. Order Resistance, something like that. OR? Order the Resistance? As soon as I read it, the note in my hands caught fire, and after a moment, flakes of ash fell on the bed. I felt a disorienting rush of emotions. I got up and excitedly crossed the room. Was it Eliza, or did someone else from the school bring this note? There might be other members of the Resistance at the Angels and Demons Academy. I looked impatiently out the window, then darted back and closed the curtains. Both up to some kind of setup. The idea of remaining in the room was an unthinkable torment. I had to find out who else was fighting against plague, who hadn't given up yet. Slender rows of monuments rose up with the names of the dead carved on them. Many of those whose names were etched in stone had returned from the other world. The humidity and wind made things cold and unpleasant. I couldn't stop trembling and only quickened my pace. The silence was depressing. I constantly looked around, but there was little to see because of the trees. However, this also made it difficult to spot me. I expected to find some figure bending over one of the gravestones, but it seemed that I was alone in the cemetery. My measured steps abruptly stopped when I reached a monument erecting in honor of my mother's heroic death. You never know how often I came here. If you're back, why haven't you visited me as I visited you? How and when would she have been able to do that? What? Like, literally, Melba has been watching you like a hawk. You take one step and suddenly, oh, Melba's there watching you. When the heck was she supposed to do that? The cracking of a branch under someone's feet startled me. I began to look around and hurried towards the noise, but the silence, like morning mist, slowly descended again and spread all around. There was no one. I stopped near a golden plaque engraved with the history of the war as written by the victor. Justice has been served. We honor the memory of the dead who fought for Malban's ideas. I wonder if this message changed depending on what side you won. The one who was unafraid of Shefa, an usurper of power that hid the truth from immortals. I looked at the monument once more and noticed a note at its base. I glanced around to see if anyone was watching me before hastily picking it up. Come to this location only when Plague isn't at the school. To her that Maman is in the capital at the Metis Bar. LR. And once more, as soon as I read the message, it burned red in my hands. I slowly wandered back to school as the sky rumbled soothingly above me. The weather had been nasty lately, and the tension of approaching storms could be felt in the air. Was it an omen of something terrible, or was nature raging because of disruptions to the harmony? Who knew? But whatever the reason behind it, nothing good awaited us. I hurried into the school. The courtyard and several sections of the academy were clearly visible from the hallway. I thoughtfully looked into the distance. I don't know who's sending me these notes. Generally, we kind of want to be hopeful in the face of despair. Not all is lost. Someone has a plan, and I can help make it happen. Only, I was overwhelmed with a nervous excitement. I don't even know if Eliza has anything to do with this. I sighed and worried my lip. I have to take the risk. There's no other choice. I'm sure Mimi will hate me for this. But to protect her, I'll have to do it, right? A whistling sound came from overhead. A red dot split the sky as it approached and then landed in the courtyard. Plague went somewhere. I nervously shuffled my feet and then rushed to the horsewoman's office. Books were scattered everywhere. They lay on the floor, on the table, in a disorderly pile in the closet, where once they had been meticulously alphabetized. I didn't know Plague was into literature and history. She stood at the desk, pressing her spread fingers to it as if for balance. Plague looked relaxed. She was unaffected by the journey she had just made. Why are you here? Did Lucifer get tired of playing with you? Plague sat down at the desk and carefully looked at me. That said, Fincio showed me your punishment. Why didn't Lucifer do it himself? What do you think? I came here concerning something else. The door opened and Malbon entered. He stopped in the doorway when he noticed me, took a quick look at Plague, and walked to her desk. Then he turned to me and looked into my eyes with some inner tension. And why did you come? I know where Maman is. And where is he? In the capital, at a bar called Metis. As soon as I said that, Malbon quickly approached me, grabbed my chin, and burst into my consciousness. I could feel him crushing everything in his past as he searched for something. My legs buckled from pain, but Malbon only tightened his grip on my chin. Memories flashed before my eyes and his. Plague, the ball, the mission on Earth, my punishment. But nothing about the order of resistance. Malbon let me go. What are you doing? I checked but found no trace of lies. Nothing that would be useful to us. Why? Okay. So we're still using the MacGuffin of checking my memories, but for some reason they didn't pop up, or was he not looking for it? Plague smiled, got her from the desk, and walked over to me. Just look at her. There's no need to be so rough. I'll look for myself. She burst into my head just as painfully. Plague flipped through my memories so roughly that I fell to my knees, unable to endure the torture any longer. Finally, the pain ended and Plague released me. With a trembling hand, I wiped bloody tears from my face and closed my eyes, trying not to vomit right on their feet. I didn't find anything either. What? How was that possible? Why didn't they see the order's note? Is it because they don't know about it, or because they don't know where to look? No, they should have seen something. Why didn't they? What's the matter, little bird? You seem confused. I hope we didn't melt your brain. She returned to the desk. Malbon extended his hand and said in a commanding, icy tone, "Get up." I had to obey. Why would you choose to be so obedient? Is this how Lucifer's influence affects you? After Malbon and Plague stirred up my memories, it was hard to collect my thoughts. I shook my head and said, I want to be on the winning side. You're clearly the winner. Plague smiled flattered. That's right. You're right, little bird. You've been fighting for so long, but I'm glad you realized the futility of these attempts. Once upon a time, you had power and authority in your hands. We're not as different as you think. And while my power is undoubtedly infinitely greater than any you could ever have, we have something in common. I'm not sure you'll be very helpful, but who knows? Maybe you'll surprise me. I'll do my best, mistress. Plague rested her chin on her clasped hands and laughed. Still, it's wonderful that you came to me, little bird. I'm glad that we became friends, especially now that my brother has arrived. War, I know you're there. Come in already. I turned around in horror. And wait till next episode. I love how I'm leaning to the side as if I'll reveal him. Ha! And wait till next episode. Okay. Alright, so I've been here for a while. Even though the recording only says an hour and 37 minutes. Ooh, I've been at this for 3 hours. Love that for me. And it's almost 2 in the morning. So I'm going to quickly try to put this video together and put it out there. Maybe I should just wait till tomorrow morning. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Anyway. Okay, there's a lot going on. Yeah, like I said, let me know who you guys are romancing. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm probably just going to open up a bunch of save files and play a little bit here and there and figure out how I go whatever makes me feel the best, because yeah, there's a lot of craziness going down anyway. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and try the like button, some love, subscribe to see more content like this, and I will see you next time. Bye!